This morning, shortly after 7:15, our officers responded to a suspicious male in the area of Remington Lane in Pinehurst, North Carolina. First arriving units on scene were unable to locate an individual. After several minutes, they did see smoke and fire coming from a residence, which was 11 Remington Lane. Fire department was contacted through our dispatch. They arrived on the scene. While our officers were on scene, fire department was taking care of the fire that was at hand. A male subject exited the front door of the residence, gained access to an axe that was near the front door, raised the axe and charged at several of our officers. Repeated verbal commands as well as less lethal failed, ultimately resulting in shots being fired by our officers. The threat at that point came to a conclusion when the subject went to the ground. From there, immediate care was rendered by our officers as well as fire department. EMS was relatively close by as well, so they responded and transported the individual to Moore Regional Hospital. Shortly after, we were notified that he had succumbed to his injuries and had passed away. At this time, our officers obviously are shaken following a situation of this magnitude. However, all firefighters and law enforcement personnel involved were uninjured. So dealing with the emotional side of it at this point. At this point, that's all I have, basically.
Deputy Chief, can you confirm that the axe that the man was wielding was a firefighter's with the town's?
It does appear that it was one of the tools used by the fire department for gaining entry into the residence, which was placed by the front door.
And where was the fire inside of the home?
That I don't know exactly. Didn't gain entry to the house personally, and SBI has the scene at this point. So
you talked about that police officers are shaken. When you consider the totality of the situation, firefighters are there, they're using this tool to fight a fire, and then that same tool is turned against them. I mean, where are you even with all of that?
I think it's common practice when forced entry is made into a residence by fire department personnel that their tools are laid near the front door or whichever point of entry they use. So that I don't think is out of the ordinary. Unfortunately, this individual happened to come out of the door where the tool was at.
Did that man live in that home?
It does appear that he resided at that residence.
Were there other people in the house at the same time?
None that we are aware of, and none were found.
So the subject was inside at the time of they were putting out the fire?
Yes. The fire department had arrived, heavy smoke showing. There was an indication that somebody was possibly inside. However, that was confirmed shortly thereafter when he came out.
So they didn't go to try to evacuate or
I don't know what their procedure was at that point. So I do know that there was fire hose on the ground. Obviously, the tools used for forced entry, and there was a fan being placed near the front door to evacuate the smoke.
Have you ever been to that home before?
Personally, I have not.
No, not personally, but at the police department?
I can't answer that at the moment.
How many officers were involved in this shooting that are on administrative leave now?
We have 2 officers that discharged their weapons this morning. So they are on administrative leave, and we have 1 that used taser.
Can you just speak to how what this incident means for Pinehurst? I know there's not a lot of crime here.
Right. This is not a normal for Pinehurst. Pinehurst is a relatively safe place. However, this is an incident that we train for daily, maintaining our training up throughout the year, just to confirm that everybody involved were up to date on their certifications and all in-service training up to this point.
For context, I mean, when is the last time the village has had an officer-involved shooting?
Direct officer-involved shooting, I think, was probably in the 1950s that one of our officers were involved in a shooting within the corporate limits of Pinehurst.
Are you planning to release the identity of the man?
At some point, that will be released. I would say SBI, since they're handling the investigation, probably that portion would be handled by them. And at this point, we're not ready to release the identities of the officers due to close time of the incident.
What about the age of the suspect?
Mid-20s to early 30s.
Are you able to say the time frame from the time officers arrived on scene to shots fired?
Based on what we've seen so far, it looks like around 7:19 they arrived on scene, and the call for shots fired was around 7:45, 7:46.
Are you able to give us the address to that home?
11 Remington Lane here in Pinehurst.
Now, he
We'll take
lived
one
there,
more
but was he
question.
the owner?
Sir,
One more question.
Did he own the property or did he rent the property? Do we know?
I do not know that information. So,
All right.
right.
We'll send an update if we have one through our press release.
For more breaking news and weather from around Moore County, follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Just search Moore County News. You can also get the latest updates on our website, moorecountynews.com.